We call him Big Red.
He's one horse and $500,000 or $1 million.
He's most eye-catching. He is the most perfectly conformed, balanced individual.
He's a wonder horse.
Oh, you can't take nothing away from Secretariat. He's just got everything.
He's just a super horse. If everybody in the United States love him, and also in Canada, I certainly should love him too, don't you think? He really likes people. That's what makes him a good horse, I guess. He's a horse he loves to play a lot. Like, he picks up his halter and throw it around, and he push you around. He's big and strong, but he's not rough. We also get a pony named Bill Silver. He's very much in love with the pony, and when he's away from the pony, he always frets a little. He always running by his side. I was working with Mr. Lawrence for 18 years, and every good horse he finally run up on, he always switch it to me, so. I love the job, and I love to be around horses. If every horse I rub coming like Secretariat, I don't think I want to be a trainer. I just want to be a groom. Oh, yes, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. He's such a wonderful horse. You've got to love a horse like that. He's so honest. He tries so hard when you run. Gives you everything else he can give you. Whatever he does is just fantastic every time. Very friendly, good-natured horse, and you can do anything in the world with him. He's a very intelligent horse. He's so intelligent that I flew him one day on a DC-9, which is a little low for him. He had to keep his head down. He had enough sense to keep it down all the way till he got off of it. Well, that's how smart he is.
Sometimes he can be like our own baby. Really, he can be just like our own baby. That he can do anything that you want to him. But sometimes he said, well, I don't want to be bothered. So he goes in the back of the stall, he step back. He don't want to be bothered. So, and once in a while again, then he come to the door, then he want to pull your coat. But he just love people, man. He just watch him, pose for them. He gallop just like using a brand new Rolls Royce. When he hit a bump, just glide run across, you know. Sometimes that he can get rough. So once in a while I can talk to him, oh, easy. Then he start flicking his A's, you know. Then he come back to me. But when he wanna just go, myself I cannot hold him. But sometimes I can talk to him and he'll calm right now. I can whistle to him sometimes, right? Sometimes I call him Big Red, sometimes I say, come on, Big Bum, you know. And it seems like that he understands.
There's an old saying in racing that you breed the best to the best and you hope for the very best. Now, this doesn't always work out, but in this case, it certainly has worked out with added bonuses. He happens to be an outstanding-looking individual. He's impeccably bred, and of course, his racing record speaks for itself. You know, it's not restricted to just the public. He's really captured the imagination of every horseman. It rather amused me talking to all types of horsemen. Many of them were very excited that Secretariat was coming, and others just felt that, well, Secretariat wasn't going to put any money in their pocket or any bread on their table, and they were very blasé about the whole situation. But the first day that Secretariat galloped down the turf course, I was amused to see that the racetrack training program just shut right down for about 1 hour, and all these blasé horsemen, stable employees of every description, all turned out eager to see the great Secretariat.
There was considerable uncertainty as well as excitement in the week of Secretariat's visit to Woodbine. The great horse was here, but would he really run?
Yeah, I think you're very welcome.
It wasn't until 3 days before the race, when he had his first full workout, that the decision actually was made to run it. His owner, Mrs. Penny Tweedy, and his jockey, Ron Turcotte, flew from New York for that final workout.
It seems that I'm a Canadian by birth, and so is Ronnie, and to come here with a real champion and finish his career in Canada, which Mrs. Tweedy, I think, is a good sport woman to let us come over here and see if we could finish the right way.
The first one was classic, because I thought he had some chance to be a classic colt. And the second was something else, which is a play on his dam's name, and then the third was Secretariat.
Yes, it's one of the greatest things that happened at Woodbine in history. He hasn't won every race, but Horse can't tell you if he isn't feeling well. Yeah.
A completely unexpected fog delayed the big horse's final workout. Thousands of people, drawn by the presence of this magnificent horse, came to Woodbine, and some of them waited 3 hours in the foggy morning for him to work 5 furlongs over the grass course.
I haven't seen a real pen in a long time.
Ironically, it was a tragic morning for Ron Turcotte. At the very moment that he was riding Secretariat in the workout at Woodbine, the stewards at Aqueduct in New York were making a decision to suspend him for 5 days. This meant that he would not be able to ride Secretariat in the International, and he would be replaced by jockey Eddie Maple.
I speak French. I'll speak his French.
Hey, look at the horse.
Oh, look at him. He needs something. Okay.
Mrs. Tweedy had the mare, and he wanted to read it to Bro Ruler, so they flipped the coin who got the first foal, and she lost, and the first foal was still a maiden. And you get Secretariat. Hadn't she won the flip of the coin, she'd have had the first one, and somebody else would have had the second one.
There have been times during Secretariat's racing career when I thought he might not be a truly great champion. I went to all of the Triple Crown races. I came away in the Derby saying, well, it was a good race, but I'm still not certain. After the Preakness, I thought, well, he's a pretty good horse, but I'm going to wait. But I was thoroughly convinced after the Belmont. There was no question in my mind that this was the greatest horse I'd ever seen, and perhaps the greatest ever.
Not only was he the only horse to win the American Triple Crown in 25 years, but it was his way of going which stirred the hearts of men. He simply annihilated his 3-year-old opponents. I'll never forget the Belmont Stakes. That was the race he won by more than 30 lengths. It was really the most convincing triumph I've ever witnessed in all my years of watching horse racing.
I was nervous to get to the head of the stretch. I thought he could roll home from there on in because he was so far ahead.
What makes him a great horse, he does everything right. He's very quiet to handle. He doesn't overexcite himself, just like an old pro. He's out there and he's just doing his thing. He reminds me like of Joe Louis when he was a fighter, of Babe Ruth. You know, some have it and some don't. Personally, I think Secretariat is probably one of the greatest horses of all times, even going back as far as Man of Wars, which such a great horse we've all heard about, probably never seen.
Yeah, Man of War. I saw him running in one race. That was in a match race at Candleworth racetrack in Windsor, Ontario. That's where I saw him and Sebastian.
It's remarkable that the two greatest horses of this century, in America at least, Man of War and Secretariat, both were known as Big Red, and both ran the final races of their careers on Canadian tracks.
Both nice horses, but this horse, the Secretariat, broke so many track records. So I think it would be a good race if they had to hook together. But now happened he's here. I'm going to watch him tomorrow racing.
The weather for the International was a cruel disappointment. It was the last Sunday in October, cold, bitterly cold and wet. But more than 35,000 people, in a personal tribute to a great horse, came into Woodbine that afternoon. Undoubtedly, if the weather had even been 10 degrees warmer, it would have been the largest crowd in the history of any Canadian sporting event.
Where are you? Where are you? Let me hear you. Where's all the players?
We came all the way from New York to watch Secretariat run, and we hope he wins.
I come from Guelph, and I'm looking forward to seeing Secretariat winning this race today.
Oh, I think it'll be a terrific. I wouldn't want to miss him for anything.
I don't come that often. I just came today because I want to see Secretariat run.
Come to see Secretariat race.
I feel this is the last chance I might see Secretariat ever race, so I thought I'd come to see him.